Today I'm going to talk about my writing goals for 2024. And I do apologize, by the way, if you see a blue ring in my glasses. That is the ring light. I hope it's not too distracting. Back to the video. It's going to be a really big year for me. I plan on writing a book from start to finish and every step of the way showing you guys what my process looks like and how to go about writing a book. By the end of 2024, I plan to have this book ready for querying. So if you don't know, I do plan on being a traditionally published author, but I have never finished a manuscript. I'm hoping that with the goals that I'm planning on setting, I'll be able to accomplish that this year. Hopefully get it ready for querying. So not only am I planning on finishing a first draft, but I'm also planning on editing, rewriting until the entire thing is just ready to go. Goal number one is really nail down the plot for my book. I already have a pretty good idea of what this book is going to be. I've been working on this book for quite a while. I have been a member of the Unfinished Manuscript Club for way too long. It's time to exit that club. So to do that, I want to set some realistic goals that I think I can accomplish just with my own time, my schedule, and just how I know I work. And then eventually, as I mentioned before, I want to get my book ready to go to publishers or agents, I guess. My first goal for 2024 is going to be to work on my book every single day. This might look like a lot of things. This could be anything from brainstorming and writing down what I'm brainstorming all the way to writing and setting word goals for the day. So for example, I might set a word goal of 500 words a day or 1,000 words a day. It just depends on how much time I'm going to have and where I'm at in the process. For example, if I'm already working on draft 2, I might have a higher word count goal than I did if I'm just working on the first draft. Now, if I'm writing or working on my book every single day, it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to be writing. I just have to be doing something that moves the process forward. So this could be anything from working on my characters to getting to know the world that I'm building to getting to know the magic system more. It literally could be anything. As long as I'm working on the book itself, then that accomplishes goal number one. I don't want to miss a day unless there's an extreme circumstance. Like I just got over COVID and Tuesday I literally slept 20 hours because I was just so exhausted. So obviously I didn't work on my book that day because I was just so sick. So unless something like that happens or, there's an emergency, I really want to make sure that I'm focusing and doing something on my book every single day. My second goal is to get really comfortable with outlining. Outlining doesn't come naturally to me. I'm definitely more of a pantser. What I want to do is refine my writing process so that I'm incorporating plotting more than I have in the past. And the reason for this is because I do tend to get stuck in the middle portion. And it's not because I don't know what's going to happen. It's usually because I've kind of gone off track somewhere and I don't know exactly what's supposed to happen next. By plotting or outlining or creating some sort of structure, at least in the middle portion, that might allow me to kind of connect those dots. Another goal that I have is really going to be nailing down a writing routine. Right now, I just write when I write, and I find when it's not planned into my day, I sometimes use that as an excuse to just avoid it. And I need to stop doing that. Writing is a dream of mine. It's something that I've always wanted to do. It's something I've always been passionate about since I was like 8 years old. And so me avoiding it isn't going to help me accomplish that goal. And you might wonder, like, why do you avoid it if you like to do it, if it's a dream of yours? And really the reason is because it's hard. It's really hard. And sometimes it's difficult for me to get started on things. Well, actually, let me take that back. It's not difficult for me to get started on things. It's really actually more difficult for me to sustain that. I am the queen of unfinished projects. I'm the queen of starting things and not finishing them. I do have ADHD, so that's probably a contributing factor. No, it's really the only reason why that happens because I always come back to it. It's just not something that I have a really easy time sustaining. I'm not consistent enough, and that's a huge problem if I'm going to try to write a book, especially if I want to traditionally publish, because at some point I'm going to have a deadline, and how am I supposed to meet the deadline if I can't seem to make myself write? So anyways, that aside, rant over. I do want to just make sure that writing is always going to be a part of my routine every day. So I do plan on incorporating that and coming up with some sort of routine that fits with my lifestyle and my day-to-day that will help me get to where I need to go go, but it has to be planned and structured and in there. And I have to make sure that I'm really just at least sitting down in front of the computer at least once a day to do some sort of writing or work on my book. The next goal that I have for 2024 is to really just make sure that I've nailed the voice. I do tend to draw inspiration on voice from different authors, and I don't want to sound too much like one author. I want to sound like myself. So really finding what that sounds like and infusing that into my work in progress will definitely be a goal of mine in 2024. I do find that it's kind of hard too, especially when I'm reading. I tend to take on the voice of the book that I'm reading, if that makes sense. So like, for example, I'm reading A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas right now, and I know if I were to sit down and start writing my book, it would come out sounding way too similar to Sarah J. Maas. And I'm not Sarah J. Maas, I'm Charlie Ray, and I would like my book to sound like me. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that that's nailed down. It's going to be kind of a hard one. I think that's going to be a little tricky, but it will come as I go and as I write and I find my groove. All right, so let's get into the timed goals. As I'm filming this, it is, what date is it today? It's December 23rd. I am already working on my characters. I'm already working on world building. I'm already kind of nailing down some brainstorming elements, and you'll see that in an upcoming vlog. Should be coming out next weekend. So I'm already nailing some of these things down. I want to have that done and completed no later than January 8th. The reason why is because I'm going to be starting classes, and I just want to make sure that all of that is done and out of the way. It's a very time-consuming process. I'm like creating maps and going on Pinterest too much, you know, all of the things you do when you're looking for inspiration and gathering elements that are going to be in your story. It's a lot of deep, intensive work that I'm doing as well, creating backstories and all of that. So I would like to just have that done and out of the way by January 8th, so I don't have to worry about that so much, and I can get into the nitty-gritty of actually writing the story. That also includes a bare bones outline that I would like to have completed by January 8th. And then what I'd like to do is no later than the end of March, I would like to have draft 1 completed. Now, I know I can do this. I have written already a good majority of this book previously. I already know at least the first half of the book that's going to be in there. I'm just going to rewrite it so I can document it for you guys and so that I can kind of tighten it up a little bit. Now, in April, we have Camp NaNoWriMo. I'm going to be doing the second draft of this novel. So I will be doing rewrites, making sure things get even tighter, kind of tidying things up, finding plot holes, filling those plot holes, you know, making sure everything is really fleshed out, really vivid. So that is going to be April. By the end of April, I'd like to have the second draft completed. And that should be a little bit easier. I would think if the first draft is done, it's mostly just going to be rewrites. So I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to get that completed. From May through the end of June, I would like to just go through line by line editing, you know, making sure I've got everything kind of all good to go. And then I'll be working on the third draft in July during the second camp of the year. And then in August, I would like to start doing beta reads. If you are interested in something like that, please let me know in the comments, because I don't have anybody to beta read the book. I don't want to send it to family because, one, I don't let my family read my stuff, and also because I want an unbiased opinion, someone who doesn't really know me very well or at all, preferably. And then hopefully I'll have those beta reads back by the end of September, because in October, what I would like to do is do my fourth and hopefully final draft of this project before it goes through the final round of editing. All right, and that brings us to November, which is NaNoWriMo. I would actually like to use this period of time not to write a novel, but to query agents. If my book is ready by then, which I hope it is, then I will be ready to do that in November. And if it's not, then I can always just do the final draft in November. Let's just say that the book is totally trash and the beta readers come back and they're like, this is all messed up. Well, if that's the case, then I can rewrite the book in November and everything's fine. If I end up rewriting the book in November, then hopefully I'll be ready by December. But the point is that the book will be finished by the end of the year. I don't think it takes that long to write a book. I know authors get 6-month deadlines sometimes, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know because I don't work in publishing, but I've heard that they're not super long deadlines, especially not the way that I work. I feel like that's so short, but I'm hoping that throughout the year I'll be able to kind of streamline my process to kind of match that typical length of a deadline that a publisher might give for an author's second book or third book or whatever, so that if I do end up getting a publishing deal, I am already in that rhythm for when or if I make a second book or a third book. Long story short, we're going to be writing every day. We've got time deadlines. I'm hoping to remain consistent. This book will be finished by the end of 2024. I am going to make sure that happens because I'm so tired of being in the unfinished manuscript club. I do not want to be there anymore. I am ready to get out of that. If you'd like to follow along, drop a comment, like the video, subscribe if you want. Let's just see where this goes. In my next couple of videos, I'm going to be describing how I work, my writing process, and my writing routine. Anyways, this was probably a short video, but if you like it, thank you for sticking around. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!